Hey, friends! Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host, Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey, Hallmarkies! Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, joined once again today by my friend Haley from Crown the Halls to talk about A Keller Christmas Vacation, starring Jonathan Bennett, Brandon Routh, and Eden Shear. It was written by Tracy Andreen and directed by McLean Nelson. Siblings Dylan, Cal, and Emery are at a crossroads in their lives and have drifted apart. To help, their parents plan a family Christmas river cruise visiting Germany and Austria. Welcome back to the podcast, Haley.
Thank you so much for having me. Always happy to chat anything Hallmark with you. So it's always
Yes,
fun
it's
to
always
be
fun.
here.
So I'm excited to chat about this movie with you. I think it'll be fun.
Yes. Yes. Bring on all the Christmas movies from this year.
Yes, for sure. What were your first snow impressions of this movie?
So this is one I had some high expectations for, even though I didn't quite know what to expect, because I'm a huge Jonathan Bennett fan, hence my shirt, if anybody can see that. And him reuniting or getting to finally do a movie with Brandon Routh is exciting. We have Eden Shearer in her first Hallmark movie. So you had a really dynamite cast. It was just a matter of like, what was this movie really gonna be? I loved that the relationship focused more on siblings and kind of that dynamic, not necessarily the romantic
Yeah.
storylines, but it blew me away of how emotionally deep it ended up going. It was a great balance of like a really heartfelt message with some kind of heart-wrenching moments, but ultimately about a family really coming together and just beautifully, beautifully done. So even exceeded my high expectations, which is pretty hard to do.
Yeah, it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. So I think I have the same first impressions as you. I guess this could be my first impression. I saw someone, I think it was on Twitter, maybe Instagram, comment on how it was. I don't remember Jonathan's character in Mean Girls, but it was like
Oh,
Jonathan from Mean Girls, Brandon from Superman Returns, and Eden Share from the middle.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's like Aaron Samuels, Superman, and Sue from the middle,
yes,
like all finally together.
Aaron
You can't
Samuels.
get better than that.
Yeah. I love how they came together for this movie. It
Yeah,
was
they
great.
had great banter. I
Yeah.
mean, we'll get to favorite scenes and things like that later, but
Yeah.
I thought that incorporated with kind of their goofy text messages, the way they're teasing, but then they're supportive, like it was very, very well done.
Yes. So candy canes and coal, which are our highs, lows, and potholes. What were some highs and maybe any lows you might have for this movie?
So highs, I definitely have to say just the location of this movie because we haven't seen these really. We did have movies on the Danube kind of
Last
boats
year.
earlier this year, but we didn't have, I don't know that we've seen the Christmas markets featured all that much in past
Mhm.
Hallmark movies. So that was refreshing just to have a different location. And my mom is actually going there this year for Christmas, and so I was already teasing her like, you have to watch this movie, like it's everything you're gonna see. But I would also just say they did a really, and I credit Tracy Andreen, the writer, for this, of really tackling a serious subject matter with still balancing that with some great family comedy, because that's not an easy feat. And to bring up the subject of Parkinson's disease and going through revealing that to your family and really seeing the family rallying around the father with that diagnosis and how they were all going to kind of help support throughout that
Mhm.
was just masterfully done. Because you're still laughing in the movie. I found myself crying a few times, which doesn't always happen watching Hallmark movies. So just the balance of the subject matter and just how that was crafted was
Mhm.
just brilliant.
Yeah, I agree. So some highs for me, we already touched on it a little bit. The strong sibling dynamic with Cal, Dylan, and Emery. I loved the parent-child relationship with Ben and Anne. And then, of course, all three of the siblings, beautiful setting, the emotional depth that you were just talking about with the sibling relationships, the career failures that were talked about, the struggling relationships with, Dylan and then Cal, and I think even Emery too. And then the family secret.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's a really great movie on kind of refocusing, redirection, and reflection for all of them. So they all, whether there's some career for some of them, there's always kind of a point of love. They all have kind of an interesting dynamic in their personal and professional relationships. And then ultimately, it's also about reconnecting with their siblings because they don't all live close to each other, which I can relate to as well. And then having to again kind of come together as a family in a very relatable, realistic situation that I think a lot of families deal with some sort of illness or, a devastating disease at some point. And to see that just played out here was very, very well done.
Yeah.
And not something, again, that we, usually like if Hallmark introduces that, it's like, oh, here it is. And then they kind of just move on to the holly jolly. And it doesn't. It lets it linger and it actually sort of maintains as a focus in the movie, which again was just, it was refreshing to see that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it had a balanced tone of humor and heart. And then I think my last high will be the Sound of Music and High School Musical references.
Yeah, when she said Coach Bolton in there at some point, I'm like, did I hear that right? Like that's not his name, so that has to be a high school, which I think is coming up on its 20-year anniversary as
It
well, so which
is next year.
makes me
Yeah.
feel young and old at the same time. But yeah, that was again, the sibling banter was just so well done. But
Sound of Music, it was when Felicity was talking to her grandpa, Ron. I don't remember what the line was, but she mentioned Maria von Trapp.
and there's another one too, which is another one of my favorite scenes when they're deciding whether or not to trust the lady to go back to the renovated barn hotel, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Okay, are the hills alive, or does she believe the opposite?" So, which
Yeah.
is, hills are alive at the sound of music. But so that was, yeah, again, just nice to throw those things in and great laughs along the way.
Yeah, it was great. And when Cal said, "Get your head in the game," it was like, cue the
That's
song.
right. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that one
Get your
too.
head in the game. Not gonna sing.
Yeah, I know that could be a whole different podcast on here.
Such a fun song, such a fun movie. I'm
Oh
still,
yeah.
even 20 years later, a huge High School Musical fan.
Oh yeah, I listen to all the podcasts those people are on. I still follow them. So there we go. Let's do a little rewatch of like all three. I wouldn't hate it. So
Yes. Even went to the concert in seventh grade.
you were hardcore. I
I
love
was hardcore. Yeah.
it.
And fun little story before we go back to the movie, but as a lot of people probably know that maybe were fans of High School Musical or not, Zac Efron was not the singing voice. Like Zac Efron did not sing in the first movie. That was Drew Seeley. And Zac at the time of the tour was filming Hairspray. He was Link Larkin in Hairspray, so he was filming that during the tour. And I thought for sure Zac was going to be there, and he was not. It was Drew Seeley, and I was livid. I was like, "Are you kidding me? I come to this concert, and Zac Efron is not here."
Yeah. Yeah. I think I can't remember if it was like for puberty purposes or whatever it was. So they sort of spliced the voices together, but it wasn't revealed until the second movie that, yes, this is now him singing, which obviously he's proven himself way since then, but the rest of the movies, Hairspray, Greatest Showman, things like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I felt a little robbed when I first found that out that wasn't
Yes,
him the
for
whole
sure.
way. And Drew Seeley, who's also done Christmas movies and Hallmark. So there
Yeah.
we go. Not a bad fallback from Zac
No,
Efron.
no. And I love Drew Seeley, but I was kind of bummed. I kind of felt
Yeah.
robbed.
I mean, when you're expecting Zac Efron and he's, yeah,
I was like, what?
we're all, he was everything at that point. So
Yes.
it's,
I
yeah.
had the posters from all the teen magazines. Yep.
Oh, yes. That was,
But anyway, back to Keller Christmas Vacation. Just a couple of lows. Just constructive criticism. I thought some of it was a little too familiar with the formula and the predictable arcs. It was still well done, but
mhm.
maybe a little less predictable would have been nice. And then balance of multiple storylines maybe could have improved just a little bit. While this was a family driven story, not focused on the romance, I think I would have liked to see maybe just a little bit more. Like I felt specifically with Cal and Felicity and Emery and Noah. I thought
Agreed.
that we could have maybe seen a few more scenes with them to see how their relationship developed.
I would completely agree with that. That those were, again, not necessarily lows, but if I wanted more from it, I would want more from those specific storylines. Because I even went back to rewatch it, going like, what did I miss something with Cal specifically with the one that got away? I'm like, what, it was like it's kind of like
Mhm.
just briefly swept by when he walks into the bar in the beginning, and then you're kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so not only is he divorced, but then there was this other
Hmm.
girl, and so then that doesn't happen. And then there's a lot of like chase, like kind of cat mouse sort of thing with him and the other girl with her and the
Yeah.
grandpa. And so like it would have been nice to have a few more conversations to kind of
Hmm.
solidify that. And then also, yeah, with I want to say Sue, Eden Shear,
Yeah.
with her and the cruise director, and I loved them. They were adorable. So I just wanted more because especially since he hasn't been to Portland, but he wants to come visit her. Especially when she gets the news about her dad, and they have that really beautiful moment where he's playing the piano, and like they just have this beautiful embrace. It would have been nice to really build from that.
Mhm.
Maybe we should just have some spin-offs and just kind of tell those stories a little more or something.
Yeah,
But
that would be great. And that kind of goes along with my next point, which is the pacing. So they kind of go hand in hand with each other.
yeah, I would agree. And it's a lot of story, it's a lot to
Yeah.
balance. So that's and especially who knows what was in the original script and what got cut down,
Yeah.
but it's yeah, there was a lot more focus on certain characters and certain
Yeah.
stories and everything else kind of just again got
Yes.
swept by.
Yes. But Tracy and Dreen still did a great job with the
Always.
script. Yeah.
Always.
Scene Slayer, which is our scene stealer segment, which is favorite scenes or best scenes. What were the three best scenes for you in this movie?
We probably have some of the same ones.
Okay.
For me, I ranked my first favorite, which was the Ferris wheel proposal. Spoiler alert for anybody who
Uh,
hasn't watched this yet, because it was one of the first ones that made me cry. It was just so well done, and especially that is probably the love relationship they focus most on in the movie is Jonathan Bennett's character and his well, boyfriend now fiance.
mhm,
Because we see the kind of the failed proposal in the beginning, and then we come
mhm,
to find out that his boyfriend, I guess, was sort of helping the father and finding a better doctor to go see. And then so then that was the secret. And then to finally get to that moment, and then he's like, no, like I do love you this whole time. I have trusted you this whole time. And actually I got you a ring 6 months ago. And you're just like,
mhm.
oh my gosh, like that's so
Yeah.
beautiful. So they, it just the lighting and the setting is just absolutely beautiful. And I just love how it also ends like he said yes. He also said yes. Like just kind of
Mhm.
that whole thing. It's just really well done. And so it's a great sort of wrap up of their story in the whole movie.
Yeah, that was a great moment. Also, Dylan, Cal, and Emery. It wasn't that long, but it was when they were at the Chris Kindle Marked. I apologize if I mispronounced that name. And Dylan's dance with Hilda.
It's so good. Well, the outfit alone is
That was awesome.
beautiful, but it's yeah, it's fun. It's kind of the first time you see them really kind of coming alive on the trip and just getting into it. And
Yeah.
that one's really cute.
Have you ever been to a Chris Kindle Mark?
I have not. Just so only vicariously through the film.
Yes. I don't think I have either, but I think there is one near us. Maybe this year I should go with my mom.
There you go. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that.
I went on the website for the one near us and it looks kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie.
There you go. Just get ready to dance. There you go.
Yes. Love everything Christmas, so that would be fun. Also, the sibling heart to heart before the family dinner. This was when they were on the deck, I think, and Emery
Mhm.
was talking about how she was laid off from her job. You know, Dylan was talking about his relationship, and I think Cal was talking about his too. That was a nice
Yeah,
moment.
you see them all finally just really open up and be
Mhm.
vulnerable with each other. Because it's like, okay,
Yeah,
as long as we're sharing, and it's you see them actually kind of be there for each other, and
yeah,
it's like that revealing reconnection where they've
hmm
kind of had distance for a while, and now they're kind of back on that same page. Which,
yeah,
again, if you live apart from your siblings, I think is pretty
mm,
a realistic kind of a
yeah.
relationship.
And then my last one for best three, I think that's a tough one. Probably the Keller family listening to the choir singing Silent Night in German, and then everyone singing We Wish You a Merry Christmas.
Yes, I love a good choir. Like this is
Yes, for sure. Did you
yeah.
have two more that you wanted to share?
Yes. So it was very close to being number one, but I just ranked it second, which is kind of the finale where the two sons go join the dad ice
Ice
skating
skating.
because like I've seen so many people said like they were weeping when that happened. And
Mhm.
it's so beautiful because he knows that his diagnosis, that's why he wanted to do this. And so he was gonna have trouble just physically being able to skate anymore. So he's up there, he's trying it. You can see that he's a little fearful, and just the two boys coming and locking arms, like, we got you, Dad. And it's like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, just so beautifully done.
Yeah.
Um, and then kind of to offset that, a humorous scene, the three siblings riding kind of the scooter moped thing when they
That
were
was
trying to
funny.
get back to the dock.
Yeah.
Just that whole thing with one in the sidecar and then the other were two, and then they ended up switching because she's a faster driver. But that was pretty funny.
That was a great scene too. I love when, you know, Emery was talking about how she's going to drive. She says, "You know how I always drive fast? It's going to come in handy this time," or
Exactly.
something along those lines.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, all right. And I love it. She's just like, all right, little sister's gonna take charge here and kind of puts the brothers in her place. It's
Yes.
like,
I think she was talking about how she used to do food delivery and she would drive fast then too.
yeah, so like we didn't know this about you. She's like, gotta pay my bills during college or whatever it was.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was
And then I have two honorable mentions that I just couldn't not mention. I thought Cal and Felicity's conversation on the deck before the white elephant party when she was talking about her grandpa and Cal was talking about, his failed relationship with Lauren that never really worked out. That was a nice moment. And then while it was heartbreaking, the scene when the parents tell the kids about the diagnosis.
yes, very well done. Again, we haven't had a lot of those very raw
Mm-mm.
kind of
No.
moments from a lot of Hallmark films. And so to tackle that in
Mhm.
kind of a Christmas family comedy was very well balanced.
Yeah,
Again, kudos to the
I
writer and director on that.
I think so too. Who do you think had the best performance in this movie? Of course, everyone did a great job, but who do you think had the best actor performance?
I mean, I could be biased and say Jonathan Bennett,
Yeah.
but the one that actually that I kept thinking about more was Brandon Routh.
Okay.
And some of that's because I'm not overly. I've seen a few of his movies. I remember
Hmm.
him as I almost said Spider-Man, Superman, excuse me,
Yeah.
years ago. But I just thought he just had a very strong, composed performance, and yet had very vulnerable
Mhm.
emotion and dialogue throughout a lot of it. And so I think it was just he surprised me the most. It made me
Yeah.
curious and want to watch more from him. So he was the one that I was kind of left impressed by and thinking about.
Yeah, he did a great job. Everyone did a great job. I think if I had to pick one, that's tough. I'll say Eden Shear. She surprised me in this movie. I mean, she's a great actor. I've seen a couple episodes of The Middle, and I'm glad she's doing Hallmark now, or I'm glad this was her first Hallmark movie. I think.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. And she was wonderful. And
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those, I'm like, awesome. Now let's see her kind of be
Yeah.
the be the lead and really take on a story by herself. So
Yeah. Hallmark should cast her in more movies to come.
we're starting the petition right now.
Yes, she's great. And what was the best quote for you in this movie?
There were a few where it was just sort of like unexpected and made me laugh. I love when, which we had mentioned before, the siblings kind of do this little huddle and they're deciding
Mhm.
whether or not to go with was it Fraulein or whatever her name was to the her cousin's like renovated barn
Mhm.
hotel, and Eden shares like so do we have to believe basically we have to believe her, and are the Hills alive, or does she believe the opposite? And so
Yeah.
just like her little like basically like this is a storyline that doesn't occur at Christmas, it's at Halloween and it doesn't end well kind of a thing, so that was funny. And then the other one I liked when they're all deciding, like, one's going to move back to be closer to dad, and the other one, and they turn to Jonathan Bennett's character, like, are you going to move home? And he's like, ew, no.
No. I think for me, the best quote that really stood out was from Grandpa Ron when he was talking to his granddaughter. I guess they were at one of the Christmas markets. It might have been the first time. And he says, "We all have heartbreak in our life. It's what we do after that sets our life's direction."
Yes, that was, yeah, very, very, very telling and very purposeful for really all of them.
Yeah. And that was, I think, the moment when he was trying to do a little bit of matchmaking for
That is,
her.
yeah, in terms of
Yeah.
performance, that has to be the best bit of him, like, trying to set up his granddaughter. And she's like, I just want to go on a cruise with my grandpa. And he's, like, apparently, like, constantly, like, setting her up with these random potential suitors. And
Suitors. Yeah, that was great. So behind the garland, which is behind the frame, where we talk about, what we liked about the creative choices. What were your thoughts on the director's vision first?
So, and this is McLean Nelson.
Yeah.
I thought he just nailed it. I mean, he obviously can do comedy since he's
Hmm.
done the Holly
Yep.
trilogy. And he's done some kind of like adventure or on location movies, like Hidden Gems and a few of those,
Yeah.
but to really balance the subject matter
Mhm.
here with the comedy and with, especially you're also, even though they're at these grand locations, when they're on the boat, you're kind of limited to make it constantly look different or like,
Mhm.
there's only so many places you can kind of film and try to make it
Yeah.
um, feel like it's the same movie, but not always in the same scene or in the same setting, was very well done. It's just very, very smart to utilize the locations with purpose and to really, really help that enhance the story.
Mm. Yeah, I think so too. So I loved how he used the Keller sibling story as a mix of, a little festiveness, if that's even a word, the family, and then the mildly chaotic. He used setting and emotional conflict and holiday spirit to elevate what could be a standard reunion story into something visually and thematically richer. I think I pronounced that right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. So, what were your thoughts on the cinematography?
So we have another very talented Alexander Krimov who
Yes.
also has done like Paris Proposal and Very Venice Romance and Royal We and Savoring Paris and obviously the Groomsmen trilogy. So there's
Yeah.
another little connection there. So he obviously is an expert in understanding like choosing locations that look great on camera versus just, are fun to visit, but really finding things, especially because this time of the year is so critical. These markets are only around for so long.
Hmm.
Also, a little fun fact, both Brandon Routh and Jonathan Bennett were supposed to be at Christmas Con last year and they had to drop out because they had to go film at these
Yeah.
places because they're like, it only looks like
Yeah.
this at this time and they're not able to just recreate that at any
Hmm.
other point of the year. So
Yeah.
they had to be there during the time to film it. So just a very talented individual that understands what looks good on camera, how that
Hmm.
really brings the story to life, and excited to see more of I was looking through the resume and I was like, there are so many in here I need to go back and
Yeah.
rewatch and just um, yeah.
I thought the cinematography was great, rich ambient lighting with, the fairy lights, reflections off of the water, the cityscapes. Yeah, he did a great job. And then what about the production design, the music, and the costume and prop design?
I mean, in terms of costume, it's you're kind of just
Hmm.
it is what it is. There's nothing over the top. I will
Yeah.
say the best is the dance outfit that Jonathan has to wear during
Yeah.
that. It's hilarious, especially since his clothes get stolen and then he's wearing that for like the next day or so. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. But otherwise, I thought just this is kind of a limited movie in terms of what you see. Like, there's not some grand holiday party or holiday ball that they're going to. Like, they're on a boat, and then the markets obviously are all decorated. But it's not one where I felt like sometimes that goes a little overboard. Like Christmas threw up
Mhm.
everywhere, and it's like, oh, well, there's just random trees, and that's great. But
Yeah.
I thought it was just very tastefully done, very realistic as to I love there's like a line in the beginning too where he's like, this boat's not that exciting. It's basically like a
Yeah.
floating retirement home. But I thought that that was actually really well captured. They still, made it fun and added in fun little holiday things like the white elephant gift and the gingerbread thing, but it was very catered to what the story needed and it emphasized all the right things at the
Yeah.
right times.
Yeah, I agree. So, my thoughts on the production design, it really leaned into the holiday travel motif
Yep.
with the cabins, the cruise ship decor. I think my favorite of the cruise ship decor, it was what Cal brought in, the stars.
Yeah, his room is like all decked out. That's right.
That was great. The Christmas markets. And then I thought the contrast between the grandeur of the river cruise and the family moments emphasized the theme of togetherness versus distance. My thoughts on the music, nice balance of upbeat and slower songs.
Hmm. Yeah, the song, especially at the end when they're ice skating together. I was
Yeah,
even like looking that one up. I'm like, I need this song. It's so pretty.
I actually Shazammed a lot of the music that was in the movie, like the background music. The first one, Time with You by Nellie Joy. And then there was another one, Christmas is Here by Bob Charles and I think Carter Willis. Jingle Something by the Donkeys. That was when they were riding the car, the tractor kind of thing. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then This Time of Year by Mona Rue. And I think the end song when they were ice skating is Let Christmas Bring You Home by an artist named Jordan. Jordyn.
Okay.
And I will link all of those
Yes.
in the description. I think they're all on Apple Music. So, yeah, great music choices. And then I thought costume design, they did a great job with, the outfits for each character, like really fit their personality, I think.
hmm Athletic, kind of your business guy, and
Yep.
then she's quirky but yet professional, and then all the side characters, I thought it very
Yeah.
much spoke to who they were.
Yes. And then last one, your thoughts on the editing. So that could be like the transitions in between scenes, stuff like that.
I thought it was very smooth and good choices between sound, light, all of those kind of things. Um, I mean, and some of that you could say because you had said, even had some critiques about the pacing. I'm always a little more forgiving on that just
Mhm.
because they are on a time crunch and with commercials and things like that. It's always different when you watch this on Hallmark Plus or when you watch it live. I don't notice it as much, but I notice it more when I watch it on Hallmark Plus where there aren't those breaks. But nothing distracting, nothing kind of overtly that stood out for me, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, I agree with your thoughts. I thought that the editor did a great job with scene transitions and all of that. So, yeah. And then beyond the mistletoe, which is beyond the credits, what were some themes of this movie for you?
I always felt like there was something learned or each character sort of like brought down one of their walls every time
Mhm.
they got off the boat. And then it allowed them to kind of like once they got on the boat, like you said, to move forward, it allowed them to
Yeah.
kind of move into that next part of them reconnecting
Mhm.
or another part where they personally needed to kind of move into that next chapter of their life. They become a little bit more open to, she wants to maybe be a photographer, maybe she likes a cruise guy, and so there's another little move there. Or Cal kind of moving on the other girl and things like that. So it was kind of nice to see that. I also loved how the Christmas markets were used because that kind of brings in a lot of the Christmas theme, but it's also there was some kind of differences between like light and dark. You notice like some of the movies or those moments where it takes place at night and there's always kind of this drama, but then it always brings them to this moment of light. And especially when you get to that end scene where it is with the Ferris wheel and all those lights, it is dark, but there's so much light and joy. And I think as a family, like that's kind of when they've really found their deepest reconnection. And so I felt like that was beautifully reflected with kind of the light, dark, and obviously the joy of the Christmas lights in general.
Yeah, I think so too. And then themes for me, I think would be family reconnection and bonding, the meaning of the holidays, embracing imperfection, honoring loved ones' legacies. And I read somewhere that Jonathan stated that the movie is a tribute to his late father, who originated the forced family fun concept. So I thought that was really sweet.
Yes, he said the movie was like loosely based on his own experiences growing
Mhm.
up, where his dad would actually take him and his step siblings on these boats. Basically, like if you're all trapped on a boat, you have no choice but to talk to each other. And
Yeah.
so there's a little bit of like autobiographical themes, but yeah, ultimately it is a story about reconnection and redirection and a family coming together during a difficult time, but also finding joy
Yeah.
and just love in all of that, which is
Yeah.
kind of the point of life.
Yeah. And like you were saying, another theme, finding joy in the journey.
Yes, absolutely. Literally.
Yes.
It's like
And then,
they're all on the same boat.
yep. What would you say is the overall message of the movie, and how do you think that that message applies to today?
I think again, I just sort of about reconnection and redirection, that no matter what you're going through in life, one, you're not alone. Like
Mhm.
everybody has their struggles, everybody has highs and lows, but that ultimately, hopefully, because not everybody has
Mhm.
that, but that you have someone or your family members that you can always go back to. There's always something or somebody that feels like home that you can always go through those with. And finding the people that you love to create those memories with and to have joy, no matter what time of year, but especially during the holidays. Um, it's always making that time to be there for each other and for yourself and doing those things, even if they seem a little scary, of making the most of your life. And like you said, moving forward or kind of
Yeah.
not being afraid to get on the boat and go forward.
Yeah, I love that. So the core message I think for me is family isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, forgiving and it's about showing up for each other, forgiving and finding connection even when life and people have changed. It reminds us that traditions can evolve, relationships can be rebuilt, and love, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, endures through imperfection. So, final Slave Bell, your closing thoughts, watch or skip, and a rating on a scale of 1 to 5 candy canes, with 5 being the best.
I'm giving this a 5 out of 5.
Okay.
And this whole last weekend, there were 2 new movies, and both of them, which was rare, I gave them a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Not only is this one of the best Hallmark Channel movies they've given us this year, it's honestly one of my new favorites.
Oh.
I love movies that give me different kind of relationships to focus on, which they've been more experimental with in the last few years. But this is definitely one of the best they've done about siblings. And I'm not always also a fan of the travel and destination movies. I loved this one because,
Yeah.
again, it had a purpose for going to these locations. And I think also if for any of us that don't live near their family, which I don't, and having, those opportunities to reconnect, I thought it was very just realistically told. It's beautifully shot. It's masterfully written. It was such a strong cast. And I immediately was texting my dad because my dad's going with me to the Hallmark Christmas experience here in a few weeks, which is the weekend Jonathan Bennett's there. I was like, because I gave him a list of movies to watch. I'm like, scrap all of that. You have to watch this one. I texted my mom the same thing, who's actually going to the Christmas markets. I'm like, even if you're not a Hallmark movie fan, you have to watch this one. It's just such a great movie about family.
Yeah.
And from again dealing with difficulties and joy of all times. It's emotionally evoking, which is again not something I always get from various Hallmark movies, but it's gonna make you laugh, it's gonna make you cry, and you're gonna want to rewatch it. So
I think so too. Yeah. I would say 4 stars just based on what I said earlier with my lows, but I still enjoyed it. It was a good movie. And well done to the entire cast and crew of A Keller Christmas Vacation. I always want to say A Keller Family Christmas Vacation.
yeah, and then Jonathan had said the original title was Forced Family Christmas, which apparently the network said sounded a little too harsh. So yes, I know.
Yeah.
Keller, my Keller Christmas Vacay, the Kellers. There we go.
That sounds a lot better than a forced family, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Haley. This was so much fun chatting with you about this movie. Always have a great time having you on.
Yes, I love talking to you about anything. So
Yes.
always happy to come on and chat with you.
Yes. And I am excited to be reviewing Three Wisest Men with you next week. So stay tuned for that, Hallmarkies.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun. All right, Hallmarkies. Well, I think that concludes our review of A Keller Christmas Vacation. If you enjoyed this episode and are watching on YouTube, you can like this video and share what you enjoyed most about the movie in the comments. If you are listening on Spotify, make sure to rate and review, as your feedback is always greatly appreciated. If you want to stay up to date on all of my episodes, you can subscribe to this channel on YouTube and follow along on Spotify. And make sure to hit the bell so you are alerted when those new episodes come. You can also find the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Swing My Heart Podcast and Twitter at Swing My Heart Pod. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time. Love y'all. Bye.